Hello, my name is Christopher Stanford, and today we'll be doing my argumentative speech part 2. And my topic is, once again, gun control, and should gun control be enforced in the United States? So here we go. 88.8 is the USA number, ranked first in the entire world, 3 times more than Canada. 30.5 is the Canadian number, ranked 13th in the world, still pretty high. Now you're wondering what I am talking about. I'm actually talking about the numbers given out by NationMaster that show the number of violent crimes with the use of a gun, considering the number of guns per 100 residents. Let's keep that in mind. Now, a little bit of background information about gun control in the United States. According to the Council of Foreign Relations, the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution states that, quote, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now this is basically saying that if the United States wants to continue to be a secure and free state, they need to give the power in the hands of the people, giving them the right to have guns. Okay, let's keep going. A number of gun advocates consider ownership a birthright and an essential part of the nation's heritage. Now this is basically saying that one of the heritage points that the United States has is the right to keep and bear arms at all times. I don't know if that's a great heritage to have. Let's continue. The United States, with less than 5% of the world's population, has about 35 to 50% of the world's civilian-owned guns. That's very high. According to a 2007 report by the Switzerland-based Small Arms Survey, it ranks the United States number 1 in firearms per capita. Now mind you, the United States also has the highest homicide rate by firearm among the world's most developed countries. This is very controversial. Now let's keep going. Let's see the opposite side. Some people say that these statistics do not indicate a cause and effect relationship, and that these rates of gun homicide and other gun crimes in the United States have dropped since the early 1990s. Now let's go back in time a little bit. Let's see a few historical facts. So the Gun Control Act of 1968 prohibited the sale of firearms to several categories. Now, people who are under the age of 18, people with criminal records, people with mental disability, people who are aliens, people who have dishonorably discharged military personnel, are all kinds of people. There are many other categories, but these are the main categories of people who cannot buy firearms. Now, in 2016, President Obama issued a package of executive actions designed to decrease gun violence. However, as of 2016, there were no federal laws banning semi-automatic assault weapons, military-style 50 caliber rifles, handguns, or large-capacity ammunition weapons. That right there is very, very huge. To me, this is not something that should be considered in a modern, developed country. Now, obviously there's been lots of effort and thought put into gun control and whether or not it should be applied in the United States. Now, I want to see one side, the opposition side, of saying why gun control should not be applied in the United States. And I'm going to visit my side on why I do believe that gun control should be applied in the United States, considering the relationship between violent crimes and the use of gun control, the use of guns per 100 residents. Now first, let's see the opposition side. Let's see why some Americans do want to have gun control. Now, according to The Federalist, which is a news company in the United States, Americans want to be safe and be able to defend from any terrorist or criminal acts that they may possibly encounter. This does make a lot of sense. Now, this is basically saying that if you see a crime happening in front of you, If you see something terrorist-like happening in front of you, you may pull your gun out and act accordingly. I do agree with this, because that, in terms of keeping a secure and free state, does make sense. Now, in the article, the writer asks a great question. Now, would Parisians have defended themselves differently from the recent terrorist attacks if they were allowed to carry firearms? Now, at the end of the summer, there was a huge terrorist act that took place in Paris. And I do believe that the Parisians could have acted in a different way, having the right to carry firearms. However, how do you know that this person is actually a terrorist and that they are going to do something terrorist-like? That's where the controversy starts. Now, some Americans think that some of these terrorist actions that happened in Paris may have been avoided if gun carrying was legal in France. Now I'm going to go to my side. Why I think gun control should be used and embraced in the United States. Now first, there's a thought that every American that carries a gun on them at all times will eventually create less crime and less gun-related violence. Now, my question is, if you're basically telling everybody, if you feel harmed, you can pull your gun out. And just having a gun, in many countries of the world, is considered to be a criminal act. Now, my question is, how does this make any sense? Obviously, if someone feels threatened, they're going to pull their gun out, and they're going to start shooting, and they're going to, they want to keep themselves secure, their family secure, and whatever's in harm secure. Now, this creates so much controversy, within the country. But I still think that gun control and being able to carry a gun around should not be allowed, in the mindset to keep the country free and safe from terrorist attacks and other criminal acts. Now, actually, a study conducted by the National Research Council said that there were no scientific explanations behind the so-called right to carry arms law. This was more of a thought that the Americans had in order to keep the country safe. However, this action to keep the country safe turned into a disaster as gun violence increased, and actually making the United States a whole less safe environment place. Now, looking at a uniform crime report data from 1979 to 2012, a comparison, and the evolution between these years, we find that on average, the 33 states that adopted the right to carry laws over this period experienced violent crime rates that increased by 4% to 19%. Now, right there, that should be something that the U.S. government should say, okay, let's pick up on that and let's do something about it. Now, the United States should take example in Australia. Australia adopted gun control after several mass shootings that happened between 1979 and 1996. Now, the story of Australia is pretty simple. There were 13 mass shootings in the 18-year period from 1979 to 1996. And then after 1996, there were none for the 19 period. Now, the turning point was in 1996 in Port Arthur. There was a massacre in Tasmania, and the gunman killed 35 individuals. Now, on the wake of the massacre, the conservative federal government succeeded in implementing tough new gun control laws throughout the country. Now, it's very simple. You put gun control, and the result is a decrease in violent crimes. Now listen, once again, I think that gun control should be adopted in the United States because there are too many violent crimes and massacres. The United States is becoming a less and less safe place, and who knows what might happen when this political campaign is going to end. Many people are frustrated with what is happening between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. So honestly, who knows what's going to happen, and what's going to happen with the access of firearms, and how will people react? I think that it's time to act now and cut down mass shootings and school shootings for sure. This would obviously benefit all the Americans to having a safer and more secure environment with less violence. Thank you.